Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the FSL Wild Rift Open Playoffs Day number 2. This is, of course, brought to you by FSL, supported by Intel and Yahoo. My name is Jay. Germany right here is Gamernism. That's right. Got your name this time right.
Oh yeah, we get 2 days of Wild Rift action. You guys are blessed. You guys get to enjoy yourself. We're in the playoffs. We're deeper into it. We have 2 more series for us today, and then we get to crown our winners for the Wild Rift Open.
Yeah, that's right. The 2 series that we have for you. The first one is going to be best of 3, single elimination as well, like yesterday. And of course, for the grand finals, it is going to be a best of 5. So just want to run through the brackets, well, verbally just a little bit, right? So we're currently right now in the semifinals, and NSL going to be fighting against Team Yakult on one side, and then you also have GrindSky, Eris going up against GGTY on the other side, and that is also the series that we will be watching later on.
Yeah, we get to have some good ones. I think GrindSky have been really strong regionally in the competition as a whole. GGTY, I'm a little bit less familiar with the name. I know that GrindSky has like other branches and different like esport titles as well, you know, and stuff with the FSL. I think some of the teams have played in like the Valorant series and things like that. I might be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong, but I might be. But yeah, they've been playing there, and they've been having some pretty good results across the board. So this is amazing to see that they've been able to field such a strong roster for so many different titles. And I love seeing them play the Wild Rift game. Like the Wild Rift game, their play style has been really exciting so far. And a lot of the games that we've had have actually been very impressive. You know, that level of skill that we've been seeing from them has been pretty much top notch.
Yep, I totally have to agree with you on that. I still cannot forget about the crazy Baron steal from the second game of the first series, and you know the amount of discipline, the amount of skill and macro level that these teams have been showing us has been phenomenal. And now we're all the way to basically our final 4 right now. And you know, you mentioned about GrindSky having a lot of successes all throughout the board. In fact, there's one of the main successes I would like to highlight is that in fact they are the Filipinos representatives for the SC Games for Wild Rift, and in fact this is going to be a rematch. All right, this is going to be a rematch, especially during the CIVO national qualifiers where they qualify for the SEA Games, if I'm not mistaken, going up against GGTY.
Yeah, fair enough. You know, we've been seeing a lot of this so far. A lot of these teams that are playing in the Wild Rift Open now have also been playing on the regional stage, playing internationally with other teams from other regions, competing for medal events, right? It's this crazy push into esports in the mainstream on sport titles. I actually think we're going to get into our picks and bans really quickly. I think one of the things that has caught my attention is that GGTY has won the coin toss, but they've chosen the red side, so they're prioritizing those strong early 2 pickups while giving away that strong first pick.
Yeah, giving away the strong first pick, right? Set is immediately locked in by GrindSky right now. It's one of the top laners that I really respect, other than the Renekton. You allow the set to just go all out. He would just land the combo and smash right into the middle of the enemy team, and it's just so tanky with the haymaker skill, where you just get a bunch of shields and just immediately turn around these 1v1 duels.
Yeah, you have so much available to you as the set, so it makes perfect sense why you want to first pick that. I also appreciate why GGTY has banned away the Morgana and the Jace. I feel like here, instead of the Corki, the Ziggs might be a high priority because you're giving that over to GrindSky Eris, and when you do, then that gives them so much more free space to just kind of clear out waves, give themselves time to farm up. You know, it helps them with their siege as well. I feel like Corki is still a valuable pickup, but maybe the Ziggs should have been high priority. That being said, Renekton, going into the set matchup, does a few things, right? Has very good ease of execution. It's very simple to be able to use your stun, be able to lock down your opponent, and really help engage your jungler in these fights. So against this set, where it does matter though is that this Renekton does not have shield break. So in League of Legends, Renekton Wild Rift does not see shield break yet. So Renekton won't be able to break the set shield instantly and to take him down. That might be a big factor into how this matchup plays.
Yeah, but I feel like with we talk about the Baron lane matchup, right? The Renekton, I feel like you just need to try to land the stun on top of set. I think the stun is more valuable in my opinion to try to break the combo of set, because once you get the set combo all the way up, allow the set to just unleash that wave of combo. That's a lot of damage that Renekton may not be able to hold. That stun is going to be valuable to basically not just shield break, right? There's no shield break. You combo break the set instead. However, let's take a look at the picks currently. Vi being picked up by the side of GrindSky, Eris, Galio picked up as well. On the other side, GGTY will finally lock in the Janna before going to the second phase ban.
They grab the Janna instead, so Ziggs really falling behind in priority. This is really interesting to me. They go for the Vi Galio. Yes, it does set you up for a very clear-cut combination. So you get the Vi in, the Galio will follow through, and the Sent gets to decide if he wants to flank, and then you could probably play for like a secondary engage support. So something like the Rakan would have been really nice. So I think that GGTY are doing a really good job banning that one away. It also would have made for a very good, safe laning phase, and it's one of the few supports that can roam up and match the Janna at this point of the game. So, looking at what GrindSky want to do at this point, they want to get rid of stuff like the Ziggs, because they don't want to play it anymore. They want to have things with agency, stuff like the Kai'Sa could do well, stuff like the Varus could do well, things that are relatively safe, but can follow up with the rest of the team while they're looking to engage.
Yeah, and I think the Varus would be just nice right here, right? Because if you look at GGTY, they've got the Janna from long range. The Corki does have the package and good Gatling gun to kind of shred through the wave clear. The Renekton technically going in dominance could basically hold down the line. I think the Varus would be nice here, but instead GGTY locks in the Orianna. Probably going to be using the Renekton as the ball delivery system to enable the shockwave. However, GrindSky locking in the Nami and the Lucian as well, going into game number 1.
Yeah, you say the Renekton is going to be the ball delivery system, but I think they need something else for that. I think the Jax does a lot better because the Counter-Strike, you have the survivability. It could have been anything, right? You could have had something like the Javan, something like that could have been come into play to help them initiate. I think Jax does fine here. So let's take a look at very quickly what these compositions want to do. GrindSky Eris, pretty straightforward. You have a team comp that wants to walk in, fight you. They want to be able to take control over these neutral objectives around your jungle. Whereas with GGTY, their composition's a little bit more complicated. It's a little bit more complex, right? You have stuff like the Corki, the Orianna that's going to try and scale up. They're going to be able to do some decent damage. Jax as well. With Orianna specifically, you can work with relatively low economy. Same with the Janna. So Jax needs to start taking a lot of these resources. So I'm a bit concerned how that's going to play out for the Renekton and Jax matchup, because they want to keep scaling where they can against the Set Vi. But if Set Vi play it safe and make sure that they don't get dove, they don't give up too much space, I don't see GGTY getting a good lead.
Yeah, and on top of the GrindSky, right? You mentioned that they want to play it safe. There's a lot of safety nets coming in for the draft. They've got the Galio with the Heroic Entrance, just in case if Vi activated ultimate and Vi gets caught out in a very awkward position. There is the Heroic Entrance that could support the Vi from probably through the mid lane. And Nami with the tidal wave, right? You can also use it as a disengage tool to basically slow people down, and the bubble as well. We saw wonderful bubbles, 4-man bubbles that could basically stall the enemy in its track. So that's something that we definitely need to look out for.
Sure, bubbles are massive. To be able to hit those, the Aqua Prison could be absolutely game-changing in a lot of these fights with the way that things are going to play out. But at the same time, I feel like the Janna is going to have good value because it has so much disengage.
Yep, and with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we're entering the Rift right now with, on the other side, GrindSky spawning in the blue and GGTY in the red. I would say that, well, from our point of view, we definitely favor the draft coming out from GrindSky, but GGTY, a little bit complicated, a little bit more mechanics required, and a little bit more farm. You need to try to snowball that Jax and the Renekton as quickly as possible, whereas, GrindSky played safe. They've got the range with the Lucian and also even the Nami as well to try to heal up the Dragon Lane at the bottom side.
I wouldn't say that I favor GrindSky's composition. It's easier to play. It's more straightforward for sure. I think that if you look at the composition as a whole, I think that there's a great chance coming up from GGTY to win this one if they can play out their composition. Well, I'm just curious what that level is going to be like. But knowing them, I think they are going to be a pretty good team playing this one out. Just the difficulty of execution is higher.
Yeah, but speaking of which, you can see Eugen taking a lot of damage from the Corki right off the bat. I think a bit of a not say misunderstanding, but a miscalculation happening at the bottom side, allowing Eugen to take so much damage. Not sure whether that's going to be a big case, but there is the Nami that could heal, so I think, you know, GrindSky could actually afford to play this small little gamble. So I hear a flash being used by Dan. Just try to get out of the way. If not, you'll be dead meat.
Oh, goes both ways, but they jump in. They missed the counter strike. No stun out for GGTY and Rogue. This is the chance for a kill. Another collapse coming in the river.
Yeah, it's just so difficult for GGTY to try to execute, but as long as you miss the counter-strike, and now they're trying to look for the re-engage, the bubble doesn't connect to anything, Corki will be able to dash away. So could be said over toward the Orianna, that flash as well, and now GrindSky would try to steal away GGTY's blue.
Yeah, this is really bad. Jax needs the farm to keep getting stronger and stronger, but missing out the chance to even pick up the buff, and they gave it to the Nami. That's amazing. Support lives matter. You know what? Another thing that we haven't really mentioned is that Nami started with the Sapphire Crystal. Instead of the boost, started trying to go for the Sapphire Crystal, just kind of gives me the idea that this might be them trying to get the Nami to pick up her support items faster. Stuff like the Ardent Sensor to really boost up the Lucian as quickly as they can. So you consider the items that are available for a Nami, you know, stuff like Locket, stuff like Redemption, like boot items. They're saying that we don't think that that's going to be as effective because we're not going to take those situations. We think there's more value in bumping up the power of our Lucian, bumping up the power of our Set in these fights, as opposed to trying to use something like the Locket. We don't need tanky stats, we need better damage.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Especially when Eugen unlocks a rotation of combos, right? Just so much damage inside Lucian's kick. Lucian must play the role of actually dishing out the damage. In fact, do it to the well will take a lot more damage. This is exactly what we're talking about. As long as we boost the damage of Eugen, allow Eugen to scale very, very easily for the bottom side, for the side of GrindSky. Eris.
They get a lot of control here and a lot of pressure, and because of that, they've been opening up space for themselves. But we do see a bit of a difference because as the Infernal Drake and Rift Herald spawn, neither of these two teams have wanted to reset and start playing towards the mutual objectives. They haven't gone to the mid lane. They haven't been setting up that much vision. It's a very different situation from what we've been seeing so far. I think I could see why that would be the case for GGTY. They just want to keep farming up and make sure that they have the tempo. Whereas for GrindSky Eris, I mean, this is exactly within their wheelhouse. They should be trying to punish the situation and get tempo here.
Yeah, trying to get tempo. It is going to be the ultimate deactivated by Divine. Not much follow-up. Tidal Wave will be able to catch Den, though, looking a little bit low. In fact, the Heroic Interventions will be added. Not enough to save Eugen, though, giving one kill over to GGTY.
Oh, no. It's a magic shield. Turret's physical damage. You can't play that way. Oh, that's so devastating. GrindSky have been having such a good start so far. That singular play has just put them behind quite a bit, actually, because now that's going to be Rift Herald picked up as well, unless they rotate over in time to try and stop this. Helgo's going to run over to get the wall down, trying to get a vision that Renekton has to stop this, but they can both jump over the wall.
Yeah, but a little bit too late, but Helga is here trying to look for Rogue. Half HP will be forced to flash over the wall. GGTY, they got objective in the Rift Herald, and they have to just walk away.
Get the reset, Corki has the package. They get to run back down towards the Infernal Drake now and try and potentially contest this, but they don't have flashes on two of the most valuable members on the Renekton and the Jack. That's difficult, but full vision of GrindSky means they have a good chance to set up for a Shockwave. It's a good chance to set up for the package.
Yeah, they need to try. GGTY really wants to take this dragon away. Looking at the dragon, looking a little bit low right here as, you know, GrindSky shreds the Janna away from GGTY. GrindSky, Eris still managed to secure the Infernal Drake, but Eugen looking for more Rainbow, looking a little bit low as well, but Vi will fall next. GGTY managed to grab a bit of a hold, following suit, the Galio as well. GGTY, they take some, but this is Helga that we're talking about. Another kill once again from GGTY.
Would have been much better if the Infernal Drake didn't go down in that fight. If the Infernal Drake was still up and get the reset and come back, I don't think GGTY are too concerned about that loss. But they lose the Infernal Drake through it all. It's so unfortunate Rainbow ran out of mana towards the tail end of that fight. Weren't able to output damage anymore. It's just an unfortunate situation. They didn't have the best reset timers because Rogue and Johns had to go back to base, so not everyone could have left at the same time. They had to have some people stay. But at least we see a few critical items being picked up now. So the Ludens is going to increase their damage output for the next couple of minutes, while the Rod of Ages is still stacking up on the side of Ray Ray.
Yeah, key items have been built up. I totally have to agree with you. GGTY, losing the Inferno Drake, if GrindSky actually reset the Drake, right, I think that would be a win over the GGTY. But now, because GrindSky picked up the Inferno Drake, they should be looking at a more comfortable position right here. Helga will be dishing out some damage on top of this turret, while Oriana goes down in to meet the Baron laner from the GrindSky Eris. It feels like a bit of a lane swap happening right here. GrindSky focusing on the mid lane, whereas GGTY sending 2 members, including the Jax, all the way to the top side.
Probably a little bit better for GGTY because they want to play into a shorter lane. They're in a less vulnerable position. They get to rotate faster to go in and help assist the team. We see what's happening here. The collapse in on the top side.
Yeah, the collapse on top, the top side. Heroic's entrance will be activated as well. Tidal Wave sending, knocking out members of GGTY, but the damage from the Corki though, spreading Gatling Gun, spreading Freedom all across the board from GrindSky. The bubbles will not be able to hold. Eugen find himself in a very awkward position, if you ask me. Won't be able to find any form of flanks, giving 2 kills over to GGTY.
But still a lot committed from GrindSky, right? They had to commit a lot to that play, send in the Galio, whereas the Galio, I mean, they lose the ranking, but it's not the worst exchange for them. Now they also get the reptile charge on the turret, so it helps them get closer to picking up first turret gold. The thing about that was because the Galio was playing towards the top side, there's less opportunity for the Galio to rotate over. You can only go to one other lane realistically. Whereas with GGTY, because they were playing into a shorter lane, there's more safety on the Corki. The Janna is probably going to be enough to deter a lot of the ganks that come through. And then you get to rotate over and match the timings. And at this point, an even fight is okay for them because they continue to scale up. They're going to have some really good moments later down the line when the Jax and the Renekton are both really far ahead. When the Oriana picks up a couple of items, but Corki has the items as well. So it's not a bad situation for GGTY if the gold remains relatively equal as we continue scaling up.
Yeah, totally agree. You start to see the damage coming in from the Corki, right, in that fight earlier just now. GrindSky Eris, they had the better early game in a sense. Well, early to mid game, they had a good, Inferno Drake fight, but now GGTY slowly matching up in terms of that damage, in terms of that gold. But I really admire how, this Nami using the bubble to try to slow down the Rift Herald. If not, that will be the first turret gold going over to the side of GGTY. If I'm not mistaken, I heard the audio cue that, do it to the world. It's already picked out a package, but see where he'll be able to use it though. Eugen activating the shots would not be able to finish off. The Renekton will be forced to back away.
They do get to go over to the Rift Tower quickly here though, so it's not the worst exchange. Unless Jones picks up the teleport to try and join into this fight, it's going to be a really difficult one.
Yep, it may be a very difficult one. Looking around, Ray misses the dash, looking to try to stall. The Rift Herald looking a little bit low this time round. GrindSky Eris will be still able to secure. The package has been delivered, but find himself in an awkward position. Helga follows suit with the ultimate, will be able to finish off the Jax from the side of GGTY. And now John Easy, a little bit too low. Try to use the honey fruit, but not enough. The damage from GrindSky Eris is racking up.
And such a good fight for them. Now they get the Rift Child to escort into the mid lane. Because Rainbow wasn't into that fight, they lost a lot of their potential to combo elsewhere. A lot of damage back onto the fight.
Lots of Gatling Gun, lots of liberation, lots of freedom coming out from the side of GGTY. Do it to the world. That Gatling Gun damage must be respected by the side of GrindSky Eris.
Is it do it to the world or is it just doi to the world?
Doi to the world, do it.
Just doi?
Doi to the world, yeah.
I'm just gonna call it doi. Right?
Doi.
So, but now they get to reset and come back and move towards the dragon so that at least is going to be that Ocean Drake available to them. It's not going to be the most effective, I think. It would be nice. I'm sure the Omnivamp is going to be a pretty good thing to have, but it's not that valuable, right? Omnivamp is one of those things that is just like super expensive stats, so just getting a little bit more of it is going to be a pretty good thing. But it's not game-changing. I don't think it excludes what happened so far.
Yeah, it may not be game-changing, but it feels like GGTY may be losing their life over there. Sad using the ultimate just to push the crocodile right into the snapping jaws of their team. And now GGTY, I'm not too sure whether they want to look for more though. This is not a fight they want to try. Rogue just use the helicopter thing, try to just fly away. But nah, GGTY, I feel like in order to secure that Omnibamp, I think they lost one member, which is not very good for them.
GGTY, they lost Den and they lost Jones, so it's two for one. Getting the dragon, I get it. At least it takes that one away. But because of that, they lose a lot of tempo. It's kind of problematic here because now they lose this auto tier turret as well. I mean, so far the gold has been pretty close, but it actually drops back over to GrindSky Eris at this point of the game, and get the Jax because they needed to defend that turret, but they overextended and tried to were a little bit too greedy to keep that one up.
Yeah, GGTY starting to lose, I would say, ground a little bit in terms of their greediness. You see John Easy as well as Rogue kind of overextended a little bit more. I think Rogue is just like, you know what, I'm gonna sacrifice myself just to try to defend this turret from that one hit, right? And GrindSky is like, you know what, you got a helicopter coming towards me, I'll just take it and, you know, tear it apart, literally, because apparently Rogue cannot fly. The Corki is the one that could fly.
Maybe
Okay,
not
I need
yet.
to start
Maybe
with the
not yet.
Apache helicopter jokes.
Maybe not yet, but I believe Rogue will fly by the end of this game, get that Jax up. You know, Jax is one of those champions that was heavily popularized by the Chinese region, right? So they came in out of nowhere, they were playing the Jax, and they had so much efficiency with that, so much, such great results with it, that every other region started trying to pilot that, make it work.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about making it work about it, because remember Jax requires a lot of farm. John Easy looking a little bit low. Well, Eugen will just finish her off with the ultimate with the range, and now GGTY forcing the push on the top side. Just Ray tried to defend. Ray knows that she can't really defend, will force to back away.
So that may not be the best case scenario for me to make my case about how the Jax is supposed to scale up and get stronger. But trust me when I say that this really is the case, you know, like the Jax really did have a point where it was able to smash Game 6 full control. But the thing about that, when we look at guys like Huiba who were piloting the Jax, is that they came in with a different approach entirely. It wasn't about getting themselves ahead, it was about denying the jungler, actively being in position to stop the jungler from getting ahead. We didn't see that from Rogue. The coordination was not there because of the lane assignments that they kind of attached themselves for. That early Corki pickup meant that they kind of conceded themselves to having some pretty good trains against the Lucian, but it definitely wasn't going to be enough to get that priority in their lane assignment. So we see a very big issue now, unless they find the mid lane. We saw a very big issue where Rogue couldn't go into the enemy jungle and put the pressure on them. Instead, they saw themselves being suffocated and losing the blue buff at the early game.
Yeah, I think that blue buff literally is the start of the ending for the Jax, the scaling Jax storyline, right? Even using the tidal wave for good measure right there. Not too sure what GrindSky is trying to do, but in the meantime, GGTY hovering around the Baron. They're looking at it. I think they're discussing whether they want to take it, but I think it's a little bit too early on, because GrindSky Eris could, you know, see GGTY taking the Baron and just, you know, kill them while they're in the act of taking down the Baron.
Yeah, too greedy to go for Baron right now, but Dragon definitely not too greedy. Corki's gonna go back and pick up the package to get the play for this one. I think GrindSky actually have a really good team fighting composition, like I mentioned, so I'm not too concerned about them starting this one up. Instead, because GGTY is behind, they don't have the easy opportunity to just get the Jax and Renekton to split push and apply pressure while this is ongoing. So happy to see that one away. I think package was picked up. I don't see it being used at any point here. The vision control from GrindSky gives them so much knowledge on where Rogue is and where their positioning are going to be, that it's very easy for them to position around them. So look at how safe Eugen is, just being around the mid lane and positioning towards the bottom side, the harass and the poke coming in from Gia.
Yeah, it's just vision game, right? GrindSky just has so much vision of, and they know where GGTY is, especially when how GGTY is clumping up all the way on the top side. Eugen just, you know, I'm just gonna pick up a few more gold to try to scale even ahead. Just take a look at the gold lead, all right? 11,000 as compared to the counterpart Corki, or technically the Orianna, is still just 1k ahead, and I feel like GrindSky, they could just take all these fights. They've got the Inferno Drake, they've also got the Mountain Drake as well. That's technically, you know, additional damage and additional defense that GGTY needs to take note of.
So for the next few moments here, what I'm really hoping to see from either of these two teams, I think from GrindSky, I would like to see them continue what they're doing, continue to apply pressure, go in the enemy jungle and suffocate the Jax. What I would hope to see from GGTY is they need to have coordinated push attempts. So as they collapse in on Rogue, the rest of the lanes need to be shoved out, need to be grabbing golden EXP, which I think they are doing for the most part, but there's just not much available for them.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like literally, Brandon. When you mentioned that the fact that GrindSky really want to suffocate Rogue out, there you go. They just collapse on top of Rogue whenever she appears on their map. But GGTY though, they need to try to focus it down. It is gonna be poor little Crocodile getting just wrecked apart by this Mafia boss. Now punching even more. Rainbow goes next. It is Hellgirl unleashing hell on top of GGTY, and on top of that, with this Baron buff, their patience is ended. They want to end this.
Was that a crit? How much damage was that on Yoriana? An amazing amount, I'll tell you what. GrindSky Eris will take down the remaining members of GGTY. The recall from Doi to get back in the base. Rogue is back up, spawn, and jumps onto the Nexus. But GrindSky will end things off and pick up the first win of the series.
GG, well played over the GrindSky Eris. They identified what are the timings that they need to try to hit and punch that Jax right in the gut, and GGTY unable to respond even quickly. In fact, unable to defend. Corki was out of the area, not defending at the place, thinking that, oh, okay, this is just a solid normal push, but GrindSky Eris picks up the Baron buff and then even more pushing power to just end the game right there, right then.
I guess you were right. You know, maybe GrindSky Eris' composition was the better one at the end of the day. You know, Tom, you said like you preferred it. Okay, I see why. I see why. And you know, we look at the damage overall. Lucian is difficult to execute, no doubt. I think Corki is actually slightly easier, and I think Corki had more kills, a little bit more gold, so it kind of makes sense why that happens. And Lucian's a little bit more difficult because you're kind of supposed to be a bit more independent. The way that your spells kind of work, you need to be a little closer range, and you don't get the kind of like inherent safety that Corki might get, but still managed to pilot that really well. So good moves from Yugen. I really like the team coordinated effort. I think Aye, I don't know how that name goes, Divine did an amazing job roaming around the map and being able to stifle the Jax. They did an incredible job making sure that Rogue never got hit. She was always put behind. This might be a sign for GGTY to change up their plans. Game number 2, what does this mean for them? GGTY, I think, should play for something that has better initiation, has a simpler simpler plan for the jungler, and really just trying to execute as a team, because I can see those moments. They fight well as a team.
Yeah, I feel like really GGTY, looking at the draft once again, right, in this result screen, I don't really see anyone that can reliably engage. I know we talked about the ball delivery system. You mentioned about it, right? There's no reliable ball delivery system. You put it on the Renekton. The Renekton's got to melt it down because the fact that Renekton has been losing lane against the set. You put it on Rogue, yes, there's a counter strike with a bit of a damage immunity, but in the end of the day, if they just melt very quickly, even before you deliver the shockwave to GrindSky, there is no more damage, and I think that's where they fall apart. GrindSky Eris, they have a lot of options for them to engage. They have the ultimate from Divine to catch people up, just in case, like what I mentioned. Just in case anything happens, I got the Galio to come in, and then of course Set is just like, you know, I've been punching things, and I'm just continuing to rip you guys apart with my bare hands, and that's all about it for what I saw in game number 1. GrindSky Eris going up against GGTY. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, this is just game number 1. GGTY still have technically 2 more games to prove themselves that they are the better team going up against GrindSky Eris, because this is not only just a rematch, right? This is a grudge match between these two, I would say, in other tournaments. And with that said, don't go away. We'll be right back.
problems in my mind, I can't get them out, no matter how hard I try. I need you and your heart next to mine. Yeah, I'm all about keeping it you and I. When you're here, you spark chemical reactions. Your aura strikes like lightning. Got no words, I'm just drowning in attraction. Only one way to describe it. It's electric, can you feel it? You got the only touch that takes me high. It's electric, I'm up in my feelings. Got double vision 'cause of you tonight. It's electric.
There's no doubt, gotta get out of this small town. You took my heart from me, now you're everywhere I see. Set me free, let me fly, let me find new kinds of highs. We're just wasting here, waiting for another year. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go on a new adventure.
this space, explore the world and find my place. Hope you find some peace of mind. Hope the night was worth your time. Threw my heart away, we won't see another day. We both know the score, we've been here once before. So many words unspoken, you took my heart, it's already broken. You don't have to wait, I can take the pain. I will surrender, let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure. You'll find me dancing on my own. Nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm, I don't think of you. Don't call me up when you're feeling blue. You'll find me dancing on my own. Nowhere to be, nowhere to go. In the rhythm, I don't think of you. Let me go. It's a new adventure. On a new adventure. I got you and your vibes in my mind, I can't get them out, no matter how hard I try. I need you and your heart next to mine, yeah, I'm all about keeping it you and I. When you're here, you spark chemical reactions, your aura strikes like lightning. Got no words, I'm just drowning in attraction. Only one way to describe it. It's electric, can you feel it? You got the only touch that takes me high. It's electric, I'm up in my feelings. Got double vision 'cause of you tonight. It's electric. Lost in your eyes every time there's no.
Welcome back to FSL Wild Rift Open Day number 2. We just watched one series between GrindSky, Eris going up against GGTY. My name is Jay. Joining me right here is Grandon. Yes, yeah.
No,
go
yeah,
back to
good.
your
That's
main
good enough for me. Yeah, I'll take that. We saw an amazing set. Honestly, I felt like GrindSky showed us exactly how you want to play standard Wild Rift. Like understanding the composition that they had, they wanted to take the fight to them, and they played it well. They knew what they needed to do. They won the early game. They controlled the mid game. They won the late game. GTY, they were holding on. At no point in the game did it really feel like they had strong control of the match. But they did play into the win condition. So it's honestly, I think it would have been fine. Ideally, they want more control. So, two options I think here for GGTY. They get to either decide, hey, we want to go into this and take more control of the game, or we want to play with a different composition, something easier to play, something that is more in line with just taking simple, straightforward fights, playing as a team. As much as we say like, oh yeah, teamwork, teamwork and all that stuff, teamwork comes in many different ways. Being able to play and fight together as a team, if you ask me, is one of the easier things about teamwork.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you mentioned about GGTY, right? Like, it feels like they know what to do in these sort of fight, but in the end of the day, it feels like they're not playing towards their win conditions, and I just always favor like mechanically simple champions. Yeah, I know a lot of people were like, yeah, definitely if you can pull off a Yasuo and just can win, you're so good. But sometimes when it comes to competition like this, if
Don't
it's
you
a
play
point
like
and click
Akali
stun,
or something?
yeah, I do. But sometimes if I'm too lazy, I go to Twisted Fate. All right, sometimes if I'm too lazy. But I mean, it goes to shows like, you know, you just need to find something that's mechanically simple and easier to execute, and then you win. But I mean, you want to play Akali, fine. There's a lot of things that you need to do. There's a lot of things that you can do. There's a lot of flexibility. But if someone could just one click stun you, you're basically going to get deleted. So that's what I feel when we talk about, you know, mechanically hard and mechanically simple champions.
You know what? I actually think that sounds more like hit, right? What you're describing is like
Yeah.
the hit of the champion and how that kind of plays in, because mechanically difficult champions can also have those like individual stuns and charms, I think. So like, if we talk about stuff like Ari, right? Ari can jump in, she has a charm, and it's one of the most impactful stunts in the game, because not only is it going to hit the target and apply crowd control, it's also going to draw them close to you, and the range of it is very long. Difference is, it's not point and click. So when we think of, I think when we were discussing about this, is about like
True.
what they kind of provide, what they kind of afford for the team. And so maybe what we want to see here is them changing up the kind of champions that they're kind of prioritizing, because they kind of let Ziggs fall down into the wayside. They went for the Corki instead. The Corki did a lot of damage, don't get me wrong, but maybe that's not what they needed. Maybe what they needed was just something that could keep clearing out ways. Stuff like the Ziggs helps them extend the game, lengthen it longer, so that they're able to play further into their composition.
Yep, and with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like we do have the draft ready for you. So, you know, we got to take a look at what kind of champion, what kind of kit they want to bring into onto the table. Once again, it is going to be GGTY securing the Morgana this time for themselves. GrindSky Eris will take the set. Probably hovering about that. I think the set is definitely a very good pick. It worked very well in game number 1. But taking a look at the bans, it is going to be the Olaf, Camille, and Senna, Ziggs, Jace, and even the Yasuo taken off the board.
You know, after all that criticism, and then we see GrindSky lock in the Corki, it's like, this actually makes a lot more sense. Why? Because Ziggs ban, Morgana picked up, the Corki rises in priority a lot here. You know, so it's able to do a lot more. I'm very interested if this is going to mean they're going to play the Xayah into this one, because I feel like Morgana as like the 8 main EP carry in the bomb side in the Dragon lane is more than enough. Like, you can have the Morgana just keep shoving out waves, and you can play for compositions similar to what they played last game. Now with the Xayah Morgana, you're going for a hyper carry comp. So they need to draft for now other options, especially in the Baron lane, with a lot of tanky stats, stuff like the Garen, stuff like the Darius, that's able to have some crowd control and peel away for your main hyper carry.
Yep, in fact, GGTY locking into that Garen, they need someone to basically frontline for the Xayah and the Morgana. And just in case, the benefit about the Morgana is that that shield that she gives is gonna be very annoying to any sort of CCs that, like, literally what I was talking about earlier just now. But GrindSky Eris is gonna be locking in the Jarvan before going into the bans. I'm okay with this Jarvan. Technically speaking, yeah, you can. Well, the Morgana can block from, you know, stuns and stuff like that, but I surround you with a wall. Technically, that's like a stun.
yeah, you know what? If you don't have a spell that gets over the wall, it basically is a stun, right?
Yep.
I think with what we're seeing now, GrindSky might have to ban away the Rakan. I feel like giving away Xayah Rakan as a dual bot side could be really strong. The Morgana, I know we already see this hover now, but I feel like they should let this roam into the mid side. If Rakan isn't banned out, they get such a strong bot lane duo, and it really plays into that concept of the hyper carry they want to try and go for. Curious if GGTY feels the same way, though. They might just go for something entirely different. You know, there's still a lot of options like the Diana that could do really well in the enemy composition now, because you can pull them away, so you can build space for your team. Otherwise, you can play for some safe options. Stuff like the Oriana still works if they want to play for it.
Interesting bans coming out from GrindSky Eris though, banning away the Riven and the Graves as well. Not too sure why they would want to ban the Graves though.
I think because Graves is very similar to Jax. It's supposed to be that big hyper carry scaling up in the jungle. But with the Jax, you know, they have to get into close range, but it offers some crowd control. With the Graves, you don't really have that kind of crowd control, but you have the Morgana Black Shield, so it's easy for you to go and play around that. You're still able to stay relatively tanky. and get away from a lot of the crowd control that we see, because stuff like the flag and drag, stuff like the pull in from the set are all physical damage. So nothing really breaks the black shield on their graves if they really end up picking for something like that.
Yeah, it's not, I agree with you, right? Like, it similar playstyle to the Jax, right? But now Lulu getting locked in by the side of GrindSky Eris, that's going to be a lot of damage and, more survivability for, let's say, the Jarvan that decides to jump on the way in. The Cataclysm and the Overgrowth is just one of the nastiest combos, in my opinion. But we get to see GGTY locking in the Lee Sin, looking for that early ganks as quickly as possible, trying to gank the side lane to fight against the set, or even at the bottom side if they're going to be drafting the Zion Morgana. And one point to point out as well is the Rakan still wide open. Seems like they're not going to go for that. They're just going to lock in the Ahri to the mid lane and then Zion Morgana at the bottom side.
Yeah, Ahri really strong here. I think Lee Sin does decently well too. So I can feel I can kind of get what GGTY is trying to go for. It's a strong composition overall. That being said, do I feel like it's maybe best in slot? I think that maybe some things that could have been adjusted slightly differently for them to get maximum value, but this is still a really strong composition overall. GrindSky Eris, I think for the most part, have gotten basically every strong pick that they wanted to. But it's a composition that's more that kind of screams out, I have all the strong picks, but maybe I'm lacking a little bit of team identity. Because you do have some things like you can jump it together, initiate with the set and the Orianna and the Shockwave, and the Corki has a lot of damage. But you don't necessarily have any one thing that you do super, super well, whereas you can be exploited in some of your weaker points. For example, the Orianna might be able to have a good combo with the Jarvan, but the set won't be able to have as strong of a matchup as like the Garen Lee Sin or the Lee Sin Ahri roaming into a side lane. They get to have priority no matter which matchup they face off against. So there's some minor details that GGTY can exploit against the GrindSky composition. And GrindSky, I think they just need to play very standard, very traditional, play into their strengths and try to dominate the match from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, the one detail that screams to me is that the Lee Sin could possibly kick the Jarvan away, or if it's get trapped into the Cataclysm, and then you're in an awkward position. And don't forget, GrindSky feels like a lot of dive potential coming in. You need to dive with the Jarvan, dive with the set, send the Orianna ball, but then Morgana will respawn with a Soul Shackle, and then you're like, instantly you find like easily a 5-4-man stun. So I think GrindSky have to be careful whenever they pick their conflicts, especially when they're fighting against GGTY. With this, I would say it's a more refreshed draft as compared to game number 1.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting you mentioned that, because there's not good disengage out from GGTY, right? You mentioned the Soul Shackles from the Morgana, but that's only one thing that really does well against that. So a lot of opportunity to get dove on.
Yep, a lot of opportunity to get Dova. We shall see. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 2. GrindSky Eris currently on match point, going up against GGTY. This is the first of the many games first of the 2 games if they really want to prove themselves against GrindSky Eris, who beaten them in other tournaments before. And of course, the semifinals, and of course, an opportunity to go into the grand finals. This is that very game.
We start things off with junglers starting on opposite sides. So we'll see AA try to rotate down to the bottom side. This could be nice for them. They want to try and get control towards the bottom side, but I don't see that being too effective. So maybe just clear out the top side of the map and then try and rotate and pressure the mid lane. That might be the best play for them. Whereas with Rogue has dodged away from clearing the Raptors, going straight to the walls and going for the buff. So just going to get the bare necessity, the bare requirements to get level 3 and start playing in for a gank. I think that is going to give them very quick control over the Scuttle Crabs.
Yeah, I think really want to abuse the fact that you're a Lee Sin, you have very high kill potential in the earlier parts of the game. I feel like for GrindSky Eris, the counterpart just need to counter jungle. So wherever and whenever Rogue is, you want to be there to try to equalize the skirmishes so that you don't have a manpower deficit. But where GGTY is now, this Lee Sin could easily rotate all the way up top or even mid to support. You want to scale the Ahri as quickly as possible. But instead, he's going to clear out the Scuttle Crab. We need to see where he's going to be going. She's going to be going.
Yeah, I do feel like the Jarvan maybe feels a little bit lost right now. There's not much for them to get done. Maybe try and steal away the Krugs. That could be a potential option for them. But there's really not that many options left for the Jarvan. So just going back to their camps, trying to clear out the waves.
Nikki, Rogue, maybe looking to try to steal away, but she doesn't really have the vision. Well, she has now, but a bit of a bit of a miss opportunity right there.
Yeah, needed to wait for the charm, needed to wait for something, maybe get the exhaust down first, force the flash, you know, at least a tray of summoners that would be beneficial for them. No level 5, so that gank doesn't really quite work out the way they want to. Would have been nice if he actually had the Raptor camp to farm up, but that's what happens when you clear out the camps. So see what the difference is now going to be. Java went 1, 2, 3 camps, came back, grabbed 2 camps. And so now he's at 1.8, 1.9k gold, as his level 5. He's going to go back to base, come back, and start looking to go play aggressively with his ultimate as well. Whereas you see what's going to happen now with the Lee Sin. Lee Sin's going to be behind, and they need to spend some time farming up to get to a strong point.
Yeah, and now finally this Lee Sin was able to catch up with this Jarvan, but Jarvan's definitely poised and in position to try to gank either the top side or the mid side. But I think good recall timing coming up from GGTY. The Garen will force the back off and now kind of resets the map over back into, you know, step number 1. But I like what, you know, GGTY had with their bottom side ward, scouting out the fact that GrindSky Eris has the job at the bottom side. That Lee Sin at the Raptor camp, I think that is really a big missed opportunity. There's so much information over the GGTY, the window just literally slams shut in front of them.
We actually see Rogue trying to make a gank through the lane right now, but it's just going to delay them even further, I feel like. You know, that's what like, there are no good lane assignments to really play off of. No point click CC. You know, not if they had something like the Renekton, then this is a very easy 2v2 matchup or 2v1 gank. But they don't have that, so they're playing it pretty low value, I feel like. You know, there's not that much you can get done just by staying there and waiting for and hoping that the set is going to overextend, and then hoping that the jungler is going to come in and fight you. Because now they get to play towards the bot side. They get control and priority towards Dragon.
And now, at the very least, GGTY will look at the Rift Herald for now, whereas GrindSky Eris will return back to pick up the package. Depending on where they want to fight, it looks like they really want to take the Mountain Drake instead, whereas GGTY focuses on the Rift Herald. G taking a bit more damage, misses the Dark Binding, misses to not too bad, as AEE just kind of get rooted right there. I think there's a Cataclysm poised to be, you know, activated, but GGTY sneaks away the Rift Herald.
Yeah, they get the Rift Herald in that time. They stall for long enough. GrindSky need to decide what they want to do. If they want to go for the Dragon, they need to just pick that up. If they don't want to go for it, they have to back away as well. You know, Gia actually gets away pretty scot-free and didn't have to spend any summoner spells, which is a really nice pickup for them. And now, see what happens. So they're going to go towards the Dragon. Lee Sin should pop Rift Herald mid and immediately go over the fight.
Yeah, now GrindSky Eris find themselves in a bit of a pickle, right? Do they continue to fight with the
Nice
Mountain Drake, or do they really want to do it? It's gonna be GGTY using the Martian Justice to execute. You can see the Cataclysm activated as well, kind of blocks the escape plan for the side of GrindSky Eris, and now GGTY get full Dragon control.
You get Dragon control, but it's still risky because there's a lot of damage still available for the Orianna, still a lot of damage from the Corki. Both of them still have, I mean, the Corki ultimate for sure, but the Orianna ultimate, the Shockwave is still available. You need to reset and come back. But jungler's now running over from both sides. Slightly better timing on GrindSky's end. So they get to have strong control towards the Dragon, but the Rift Herald did manage to crash mid. I'm curious if they actually want to try and fight for this, or Lee Sin's just going to look for a steal.
Yeah, looking at Rogue right now, the sneaky, bleaky guy does tag the Sonic away, but it's going to be a steal coming up from GGTY. Buzz the flash to get all scot-free, and now suddenly you think that GGTY got a bit of a missed opportunity right there. They're grabbing the opportunity right back.
Yeah, they take back control of all of this, and a lot of damage out from Doi in that fight is only going to be a good sign for GGTY. Knowing that their investment into getting the Zion ahead, it's a really impactful thing. And we also see the impact of the Garen, you know, it being such a popular pick in the Chinese region, and for a good reason. They just cannot stop picking this champion. It's one of those things that they will almost exclusively play every single game with unless it's banned out. It just does so well in a lot of these situations.
Yeah, you can see the spin to win coming out from this Garen. Will be able to spin this Mafia boss all the way down.
No.
Ooh, a missed shockwave coming out from Ray as well. Flash to be used. Very expensive though, but shutdown go will be worth it. Question mark as GGTY push down the top side.
If they didn't lose a turret, sure, but because they do, not only was that a trade kill in the top side, that shutdown, the gold that they get is going to be split up back towards GGTY through that turret. Now they have to look for something else. Mid lane might be the option for them.
Yeah, well, gets kicked all the way out. Well, A will get kicked out from the wall that he built, but you know, Eugen just like, okay, I'm just gonna spread gunfire at that small little wall. There's no dashes coming out from this Lee Sin. Will go down in the mid lane, and now GrindSky Eris, they really want to take down this mid lane turret. They lost too much on the side lanes, and don't forget GGTY looking at what the damage they dealt towards using the Rift Herald earlier just now. GrindSky Eris's mid lane turret looks very weak.
I mean, I think that goes both ways. You know, there's still the turret. The fact that the turret in the mid lane is also really low, and once they pick that, that's the last bastion of defense in the outer tier turrets. So they get a very good amount of control around the jungle and into the entry points around GrindSky's side. You know, it's not a linear progression. It's an exponential progression. Like as you pick out these outer tier turrets, you get exponentially more pressure and control around the map. That's all we're feeling from GGTY right now. They want to try and escort the minion waves in and pick up the turret over time. And one of the things that's going to assist them in doing that is by contesting these neutral objectives.
Yeah, and really hoping that, I would say, Brandon, looking at what GGTY has managed to secure for themselves right now, it's dominantly in the early game, but now, big damage coming out from this Corki this time round, then coming in to try to block GrindSky Eris. They really want to regain control around the mid lane so that they could actually force the Rift Herald or even this Drake coming up.
They start the Rift Herald, and I think that's because they have the package, so they have a much stronger chance of fighting and winning. Dodging away from 2 big spells there with the Hourglass might make a difference for Ray Ray.
Big damage coming out from this Garen right here. The Martian Justice to seal the deal right there. Sonic Wave will be able to attack on top of Gia, but Corki, the damage has been done. Rogue forced to run away as GrindSky Eris steals away the Rift Herald. While the Scuffle has been happening all across the map from the side of GGTY. The Polymorph from the Lulu is a bit annoying as Flash over the wall goes into the sky. It is gonna be this Xayah as well, gets rooted at the same time. But the damage, wow, GGTY is starting to rack out all this damage, and don't forget the spinning top.
You forgot about Jones. She's coming in. She's gonna take you down, take you out. She sent back AA to the grave. Honestly, it was so close there. Look at what happened. You know, Doi jumped up, flew up into the sky, pulled out her feathers, pulled them back, and suddenly locked down the Javin. The Javin missed the chance to get that kill. Rainbow with the charm that was absolutely clutch. In the meantime, you have to wonder why that happened the way it did. This Helgo was on the opposite side of the map trying to capitalize, but pick up turrets, getting some gold there. The first turret of the game, but now they've lost the chance to go for the dragons. They don't have the final power. I don't think it's going to be very difficult to contest this. I don't think that the power trick is very much worth it anyway. You know, you just want to try and poke them out, maybe get some control. Use the Rift Herald mid lane. This is your opportunity to break open the turret.
Yeah, but a little bit too late right there because the blue GGTY was able to secure the Drake. Now with the Dragon advantage on their side, GrindSky Eris, they're still not too far apart in terms of their gold, but this Garen's starting to scale. The members of GGTY is starting to scale. GrindSky Eris, could they actually scale to fight against GGTY at this rate?
Oh, absolutely. I think they still have a great chance to scale up because they have a lot of team fighting tools to deal with GGTY. But GGTY just have really good matchups right now with the Ari, with the Morgana. You know, it's pretty easy to deal with like singular targets. So when the team fight isn't going to be, I'd say there are a lot like small moments where GGTY can really get huge advantages. Whereas GrindSky, in the grand scheme of things, I think will have easier opportunities as a whole.
Yeah, so we delay this game towards the late game. Maybe, you know, Corki will be able to do off there's a lot of like key checklists from the side of GrindSky Eris to be able to take off. GGTY though just dominating all the map because of the fact that they've taken down so many of these turret objectives. You mentioned about it, Brandon. They're basically getting the map dominance exponentially, and now GrindSky Eris forced to play catch up.
They're actually gonna run to the top side. They get the collapse back on them. It's 5 versus 3, but they're here first. GGTY with Jones leading the charge.
Yeah, the King will be sending member of GrindSky all the way back. GrindSky Eris, they're not ready for this at all. Lulu activated the overgrowth, but this is going to be a very big drop right in the small little cataclysm. That is not enough. GGTY, they're just snowballing on top of GrindSky Eris. In the meantime, Hellgirl is like, you know what? My team are sacrificial pawns. I'm just going to try to push down the mid lane turret.
I mean, in repeating fashion, they've gone back and sent Helgo into a silent. They continue split pushing. call was just so strange. I mean, they already had so many
Yeah.
people going up to the Baron lane. Why would you send the set off by themselves without teleport as well? You know, if you had teleport, sure, and you still haven't had a good chance to use that Rift Tower. If Rift Tower was committed to the mid lane as they tried to make that collapse, the set could have escorted it in. You could have taken an inhibitor. There was some things that needed to be done before that play was going to be. I don't even think the word good is the right one, but to make it even worse.
Ooh, the charm is gonna set things off. Whoever get the charms land upon will definitely get deleted by the damage of GGTY. Now Set joins the fight this time around, Haymaker, but without be enough because the big sword will be landing on top of the ground on top of him. GrindSky Eris will take two casualties, but GGTY taking only one. Good trade over to GGTY.
They finally get what they were hoping for as they camped that brush, you know, sitting there. They were just enjoying themselves. Nothing too crazy, you know, just 5 people waiting in a brush there. But because of that, GrindSky is gonna get less value than they were even initially hoping for. Now this Rift Tower won't even get to make its way into the Baron lane out here first. It's just a very sad situation for them unless they manage to cut off the Ahri in time. Looks like they do. They actually have to commit 3 people to make this happen.
Commit 3, in fact, even 4. You can see the Jarvan working all the way up right there. GGTY sending the manpower all the way down to protect. Hopefully there should be a charge going up. Yes, they do. 55 HP on top of that turret.
No.
Such a missed opportunity coming up from GrindSky.
So doomed, honestly. But Dragon coming up, that's going to be the Ocean Drake. So that means an Infernal Elder could be really nice. You know, if GrindSky able to take that one away, they could scale up their damage significantly for these next fights. Let's take a look at the items again really quickly because I want to point out a couple of quick things, right? So the Ahri and the Lee Sin both have the Hourglass. This means that the Lee Sin gets to dive in deep and survive no matter how much damage GrindSky can put out. Whereas for A, because they're going for the Gargoyle Stoneplate instead, she won't have that kind of same effect. She's definitely going to be tankier than the Lee Sin. It doesn't matter so much because they have a lot of mixed damage. It makes it very easy for them to shred her down. The Javelin is going to have a tougher time surviving a lot of these initiations.
Yeah, and speaking about surviving, Brandon, Ocean Drake given over to GGTY right now. The Dragon advantage is slowly going into the side of GGTY. GrindSky Eris, yes, the Javelin was building tanky, but I think GGTY would just shred. There's a Black Cleavers, two Black Cleavers all across the board, and there's also, you know, Desire building the Blade of Green King. So much damage into GGTY's kit. GrindSky Eris, they have to play it safe, they have to play it slow, wait for the Corki to scale.
And at least with 3 items soon, I think the Corki will have a lot of damage. I'm just curious if... I'm curious is the wrong word. I'm just not sure if the Corki can keep up the damage in Desire because you have a lot more like poke focus damage, but then you can always make up for that with the Ahri. Ahri is really strong at this point. So not so clear cut for sure. Both of these teams have some very good opportunities to try and build up off of this. Now this IE, you should be able to get some good crit damage. I think it's a little bit luck dependent on how many crits you're able to get. I know this sounds a little bit bad. If you get lucky, you just crit, right?
Yeah. RNGesus, right? Just spraying over to RNGesus, giving them a quick crit. Hopefully could just melt down either Rainbow or Den very quickly. But I mean, with Yugen this time around picking out a package, we'll be activating it right now. The charm misses as big mega knockup coming out. GrindSky Eris goes golden as well. That is actually going to be helpful. So much jukes coming out from GrindSky Eris, and now focusing on top of John E, the big raid boss coming out GGTY. Super tanky. Not even Helger will be able to hold them down as Rayway will lose its life in that fight.
That's crazy. A huge fight. For GrindSky, they finally win the one they were looking for, and this means they get to start up the Baron. Recalls out from Doi. Rainbow out of commission from the fight. You can't go in as the army without your Spirit Rush, and the Baron shred down so fast when you have that Corki. AA just staying nearby to make sure they have the smite available. They're gonna run back in now with the charm.
Now with the charm, Rainbow looking a bit low, the Baron will still be secured by the side of GrindSky Eris. I think that's what they're looking for. But they will lose quite a few more manpower on that side. And now GGTY doing to the world. They really want to try to catch this set, especially the only few member that's holding on to the Baron buff. But GrindSky Eris, man, that flash into a charm just gave GrindSky Eris a very cold sweat right on their brows.
Okay, so Yugen wants to pick up the Triforce now. If she gets the Triforce, she will have enough damage, I think, to actually win and carry the Infernal Dragon fight. Like, you put that Lulu up, you have the Staff of Harmony, you have the Ardent Sensor, you put that on a Corki with Triforce and 3 other items, you will do so much damage, you will carry the fight. So hopefully we see that happen right before the Infernal Dragon spawns up. If they can get this, they have a really good chance of winning this game. It just outputs so much more damage to them, something that they were lacking because of the nature of the builds that they're trying to go for. The set has been losing these fights against the Garen, but once you get the Infernal, you overcome so many of these problems. So very important for GrindSky to start preparing for this. It's going to be up in about 45 seconds anyway. So the main focus for them now, I think, clear out the top side waves. Get control towards that end of the map so that you can rotate over. Start pushing down the bot side. If you can, isolate Jones. Take down the Garen before the fight even starts. So many things to be done. GrindSky, balls in your court.
Yep, looking at the Baron buff right now, they're gonna use that to create more space in the mid lane turret. Using this Baron buff that leads them into the Elder Infernal Drake is so good. In fact, Hellgirl on the other side of the map is a 1-4 push on the top and the mid, forcing the Garen to go all the way back, as now they're gonna try to chase down on top of Hellgirl. Now, Hellgirl should not die. If she does, that's gonna be, you know, the Infernal Drake out of the plan right now. And now Eugen, forced overgrown right there, would be forced to jump away. A little bit of Hell. Joan there is easy, just landing down so much damage by the spin. And now you can see Helga just going into the backline, but Joan is still very healthy. They lose 2 members, and now GGTY will walk over to the Elder Drake.
Look at what's happened. Once we start talking about that, Yugen goes aggressive, thinks that she can get a kill, thinks she can carry the game from that spot, and maybe end things through the mid lane. But that wasn't the play. It's too greedy to try and play for the mid lane at that point. Really good punish from GGTY. They go in aggressively and were able to collapse in faster than what we saw. Helgo might have been able to go into the backline, but she doesn't have the damage anymore, especially when we see all these Drakes stacked up. Now, Elder Inferno, with all the dragons that they've collected throughout the game, they are massive. There's so much that the gold score does not represent right now. It's a 4,000 difference on the by the numbers, but the reality of it is that this is a massive lead for GGTY. You get more per dragon stacked up with the Elder as well. So much to be gained here. GGTY are very close, I think, to a win, and GrindSky Eris are now working on a nice net. They need to be careful about this. That Baron is going to be their death sentence. If they try and commit to it too quickly, they will lose. If they give it away, they will lose. So, very fine line they have to play on.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, GGTY has managed to checkmate GrindSky, right? Like, they've got all the 4 dragons. They're just walking around the map, collecting Infinity Stones, and now, looking at the Baron, that could be the final piece to finally seal the deal. GrindSky area is still holding on, but just barely. Knife's Edge, I think they're just hanging by the thread.
Good thing for GGTY here, their turrets did not go down, so those inhibitors didn't start spawning the minions. If GrindSky had managed to take those before they started the fight, I think it could have been slightly different. You know, with the super minions waves crashing in constantly, the Baron becomes a lot more difficult for GGTY to try and assert for, because they can't move you as a 5-man. They have to always have someone split pushing. This could mean that the boot item changes on some of their players. Eventually, I think Jones is deciding what she wants to try and go for. She's gonna go back. All the gargoyles still playing the end of it. I think that's good. Still, just extra tanky stats. You know, you already are doing a lot of damage just off of your base stats.
Now, a bit of a, you know, that cowboy thing that you always do, like, you know, 2 cowboys sitting in one straight lane, pulling out their pistols. It's like that silent little moment. GGTY starting the Baron right now. GrindSky Eris none the wiser right here, looking at the old steal coming out from GrindSky Eris. GGTY managed to secure, and now they're gonna collapse on top of GrindSky Eris. Cataclysm for good measure. Big ultimates going down for the side of GrindSky Eris, but now they are forced to run away. This John Easy, this Gargoyle, this Garen has been leading the charge so well, and GrindSky Eris is forced to pull back.
I mean, it just shows once again why Garen is such a favored pick in the eastern regions, and they love to make this one work. They love to see it. GGTY, I think, are on their victory march. Just 3 left in the base of GrindSky. GrindSky is trying to defend against this, but the charm to take down the Lulu, the spin, the slam, the dunk, all the damage out. The full team ace. GGTY will equalize the score 1-1.
Man, you do not see that Garen absorbing so much damage. Not only fighting two members from the side of GrindSky, Eris taking turret shots. Not only just a turret shot, right? Also taking a few Nexus shots, and yet still couldn't go down. And really, the Garen factor in this game is clear. You can take a look. Yes, she was having a bit trouble going up against Hellgirl with the set in the earlier parts of the game, but when this Garen starts scaling though, it's just so hard to take down.
So I think a couple of things that GGTY have done really well is that they've changed up their strategy. We talked about how they want to play for something simpler to execute. You know, they have something like that now. And the hyper carry that you have in the Xayah, and honestly, so much work done by the Garen. I'm not sure if you get the same results by playing any other champion in the game. So hopefully we still see them get to have that pick in the Garen. I think the Morgana was a really nice one. And I think with GrindSky, you know, if they want to play for the kind of composition that they want to try and go for, they need to decide what they want to try and ban out a little bit earlier, because I think they've given away some really strong ones, and especially with the Ahri and the Garen in this case, might need to be a little bit wary about that.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier just now, right? GrindSky, Eris, they lack that general identity. It feels like they really want to bum rush into your face, but then, you know, GGTY, they would love you to bum rush into the face. The soul shackles, and of course, if you run towards a champion in a straight line, speaking about straight line, you know, the Ahri's first skill is gonna just hit you so hard, and the charm as well. So many pickoffs from Rainbow Charm. You don't see Rainbow picking up a lot of kills. In fact, I think it's a 1-0-16 assists. I don't know, maybe it's not a stun bot, like a charm bot right now, just charming people and instantly deleting people one at a time.
Yeah, it just helps the team so much. They get to have a really easy follow-up after once you get the charm through. And I mean, it just helps so much with wave clear, right? So you have two big carries that are able to wave clear really well. You that Desire, the feathers, obviously. I mean, I don't think that needs to be said anymore than it has been. And the All of the section, like you mentioned, you know, it just has a lot of wave clear. It's very easy for you to continue getting pressure across the lanes then. Overall, I felt like the Orianna just wasn't strong enough to match out the tempo with stuff like the Ahri on the table, so they need to look for something else there. But maybe they can prove me wrong. I mean, I'm willing to see you can make Orianna work really well. I think they have an opportunity to. They still have one more game in this series. Let's see what happens.
Yep, and like I said, GGTY, in order to prove themselves to beat, you know, GrindSky, Eris, to kind of like, you know, to settle this grudge match just a little bit, they need this second game. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. This is going to be game number 3 coming out from these Filipino teams. GrindSky, Eris going up against GGTY. Who will trump the other? We're going to go in the short break. Come back later, guys. Yeah, I feel like Ziggs is this like nuclear bomb that they need it. Both these two teams need these nuclear bombs, that nuclear deterrent. Wait, that's basically Ziggs' kit. But you know, the gist is, yeah, both these two teams should really look at the Ziggs. Unfortunately, I feel like, if I'm not mistaken, Game 2, they kind of banned away the Ziggs. They need someone with long-range poke to basically, you know, create more space. You saw how GGTY in game number 1, there's no way for them to engage. Same could be said over the GrindSky though. Like, in game number 2, they tried to engage, but they engaged right into GGTY snapping jaw. So they need to try to whittle down before going in, and that's how I like to engage personally. Yeah, technically speaking, there's another champion that came into my mind, but it's a little bit iffy in my opinion. Draven does that, but yeah, I'd still definitely prefer the Ziggs, right? This Mega Death Bomb, it's very flexible, it can be used to not only just wave clear, like from one side of the map, you could actually steal the Baron even before committing to anything. And even if you miss, okay, it's fine, it's just one ultimate, but if you actually hit it, that bomb suddenly became so valuable. And I think the power of the Ziggs must be, basically they must use the power of Ziggs in order to like get out of this series, because this best of 3, this is do or die for both these two teams. The winner will go in and meet NSL in the grand finals, and both these two teams really want that. Now looking at the picks right now, GrindSky going to the Fiora instead of picking the set. Game number 2, you don't really see the set working very well for Hellgirl this time. Now going into a switcheroo, GGTY, even though they had a very good, you know, good game with the Garen, they're gonna go for the set instead. Hovering around Senna, locking it in. We feel like we're going to go into the long game. Yeah, and now, with a very tankier front, I would say, GrindSky. I like this Rakan and Galio pick. It's so tanky and it's so nice to create this front wall. Now, the question is, who's going to be hiding behind that wall? Is it going to be someone that, the marksman that's very hyper carry-ish, or could it be, someone that could poke? They're hovering on the Ezra, but I don't like to talk about Harvest. Let's take a look at the bans once again. GGTY taking away the Zaya because of the Rakan being picked up by the side of GrindSky Eris, and of course the Lux taken away by GrindSky Eris.
That was one of my criticisms, right? It was like, hey, if you're gonna be playing for the Zaya, play the Rakan. I mean, get that support in there. He has so much power there. Why wouldn't you want to try and do something like that? Instead, we kind of missed that chance a little bit. We didn't have the Rakan really in play. I would have liked to see the Zaya Rakan this game around as well, but then good call on the side of GGTY to ban it away, especially once they see the Rakan coming out. But they have a lot of initiation with the Galio. I think they could afford to play a little bit more with that. So like if they have one more option, they can maybe tag along so that it's not always going to be reliant on the Rakan to engage. Maybe have a jungler that can do something like that. Otherwise, I think for GGTY now, you already have the Senna, the Ari, the set. You just want something that has a lot of damage to the bottom side. So you have so many options. Morgana's banned out, so maybe things like the brand could even be played. Then they go for the Corki.
Alright, Corki and Senna's. Fasting Senna, technically not a fasting Senna. It's like a support Senna going to go down at the bottom side. And then I kind of agree with what you mentioned, like GrindSky. I think with more options to engage would be kind of good. No offense, I don't trust a Galio to kind of engage for me. I feel like I love Galio as like a secondary engage, right? It's just like a follow-up, just in case if Rakan goes in a little bit too deep, the Galio could follow up. In fact, even using Kaisa with the Killer Instinct to jump in with that, hero entrance, however, needs to be careful. There's an Ari with a Charm, there's also with the Corki that could discharge so much damage, so have to be a little bit careful not to be trigger happy with the Killer Instinct.
Yeah, it's so easy to just go like, oh yeah, I can dive in, I can kill somebody here.
Yep.
But like you mentioned, Kaisa is going to have a difficult time here a little bit, I think. I like the Lee Sin, because we're talking about options that could help them potentially dive in. But the problem with this is that they have a pretty good fighting composition as like a 4 versus 4. So the Fiora really needs to pull away attention from the set. Thankfully for them, I think set versus Fiora is a skill matchup. So you get to play into the Fiora set, you get to like just kind of kite him around, you can dodge away a lot of his spells, you can even block his ultimate with your stun if you're really good with the riposte. So it's a lot about that mind game being played. Of course, you could always go set on Karen, and that has been an option if they want to try and do that. If it's going to be Senna set, I'm not sure what the play is going to be. Set jungle?
Yeah. Set jungler.
Okay.
That would be interesting. I would say, I feel like it's not like a missed opportunity. It's like you're using a knife, but you're using the blunt end of the knife to try to cut the chicken. Yes, it could technically work after like 10 years, but I feel like Set, it's better off dueling 1v1 fighting champions, whereas instead of firing up. And I always like to talk about like, those junglers that doesn't really have like dash skills to try to engage like some surprise kind of thing. What's the Set gonna do? Walk up to lane and lay down the haymaker?
I honestly, yeah, I think that's exactly what he wants. That's the only thing he can do, right? So,
yeah,
good thing for them is that if you play into them, they have a really strong matchup, right? 2 versus 2, Fiora Lee Sin versus Garen Set. Garen Set will win most of the time because of how strong the matchup is. But when the Fiora is isolated to either one of those at a single point, I think the Fiora can win. So you have to be aware of that and not let Lee Sin play into bad matchups. They need to constantly be aware of this, rotate around, and dodge these moments where the opponents could potentially crash into them.
Yep, and that said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into the Rift very, very soon. It's a very interesting matchup coming up from the side of GGTY, drafting the set into a jungler. I think that's raised both our eyebrows. But there's still the Garen, there's still that bulwark that GGTY could hold on to. And of course, GrindSky, Eris, they have the better 4v5 in my opinion. The Fiora could do so much trouble and so much problems around the side of the map from the side of GGTY, so we need to take a look at how this goes.
As we start things off, we again see a split side start. This has been pretty common in our matches between these two teams. And at the same time, we've actually seen it go poorly for GGTY before. You know, they've lost a little bit of tempo, not being able to maintain their blue buff control. Won't be as big of an issue for Rogue because, well, naturally Set doesn't need the mana, but it does kind of affect the EXP and the scaling that they were otherwise going to be able to hit in that same time. So I'm looking forward to see if GrindSky are gonna be able to use any of their aggression early on to try and get control, their matchups early on to get control of the lanes and try and seat and push up, or they're gonna play passively and slower this time out.
I think, you know, speaking about slowly, but looking at that, slowly chunking down is usually with the Gatling gun, and now Gia takes a lot more damage, just a few more tricks to do, but here comes, hey, here comes a cavalry, here comes a Sonic Wave, just a few more hits will do, but no, oh, the burn from the red buff will finally take it all the way down.
That was so clean, eh? Oh my goodness, you know they say cool guys don't look at explosions. Cool girls don't look at red buff, but she knew she had that kill secured. No flash necessary. Takes down the Corki. That's what happens when you play aggressively. Alright, you get punished, and now see what happens. It's given them the advantage that they wanted down the bomb side. I asked whether they were going to try and get tempo early on, especially with this Lee Sin. They did. They get rewarded with the first blood, and that actually compounds to more than 800 gold now. Look at where Rakai is rotating to. They're trying to collapse in on Rogue, who's picking up the Scuttle Crab, and they're looking to play this as a 4 versus 3.
Yeah, we're gonna start it off once again. Haymaker going down at the same time. Rainbow looking a little bit low. Gets sniped down by the Lee Sin. So clean. Wow, what a smooth criminal coming out from GrindSky's jungler.
And the fight doesn't quite end there. They still continue a little bit further in the mid lane, but they've gone back. Senna's rotated over, so it's too much to continue fighting without their health bars. GGTY at least get the Scuttle Crab at the end of it all, but for losing their mid laner for that, probably not worthwhile, and that gives time back over to AA to continue farming and to go back for that blue buff. Both junglers have missed out their chance for it. Let's see what happens now. Blue buff on the side of GGTY means he's back to the bot side. The bot side is not going to be in a aggressive spot because GGTY are going to be shoving the wave in on them, so there's no good chance for a gank there. Whereas for the GrindSky side, she's going to be able to start getting some tempo on the Garen as the wave is freezing towards their side.
Yeah, the Lee Sin making plays left, right, center of the map. Really well pathing coming up from inside the GrindSky. In fact, Hellgirl freezing it. GGTY, they're not in a position to fight this at all because especially with the Dragon Lane, you got a Senna. But speaking about the Senna, failed to show up before our observer go onto the map, gets deleted by this Kai'Sa with a BF sword already in tow, and now looking at Rainbow with the smiles, like here comes a heroic entrance, hopefully should be able to show away, push GGTY away. Rainbow looking for Eugen, a little bit low, just one more Haymaker who should be able to do the trick. The kick comes in a little bit too late, but the Set activating the ultimate, tried to pick up the double kill, but what a messy team fight happening at the bottom side, but I think this is a trade that GrindSky will gladly take.
An amazing response from Rogue though. I know you say GrindSky had a good fight, sure, but great response from Rogue. They actually come out with 2 kills back for it all, so kind of equalizing that. The gold doesn't really transfer over very much, and Doi actually gets to stay in lane a little bit longer. It kind of shuts down the tempo from the Kai'Sa a little bit, so a really nice set of exchanges overall. But now a bit of an issue, I think, for GrindSky. They use some of their big ultimates there, so fighting for this Inferno Drake is going to be a little bit harder.
Yeah, but now with that said, they need to try to secure some form of advantages from themselves. The Scuttler Crab should be able to work, but GGTY do have the package as well. Looking at the pathing of GrindSky right now, in fact, it is going to be GGTY focusing on top of that Rift Herald. Hellgirl will just stare by the brush, just allowing GGTY to pick up the Rift Herald, and now GrindSky, okay, they know where GGTY is definitely going to go to next.
Okay, I like this, right? You know that they're going to end up trying to siege out a lane anyway, so you grab that first turret gold. They might lose the mid side, but if they get 2 and then they get the dragon, because the package was up, so it's a little bit too risky to start it up. Overall, the chain of events have been pretty solid so far.
Pretty solid for so far, but it is going to be then looking a little bit low at the same time. A gets hammered all the way down by the side of GGTY. The damage has started to kick in by the side of GGTY. GrindSky Eris, they weren't able to basically pick up the dragon for themselves. And GGTY, this is basically free.
You know what, scratch that? Maybe not so much anymore. pretty problematic here, actually. Oh my goodness, that's so unfortunate. They were in such a good position for so long. It seemed like they knew exactly what needed to be done, and then they kind of dropped the ball there. Maybe the fact that it was an Infernal Drake was just too much of a compelling factor. You know, if it spawned any other Drake, maybe it might not have mattered at all. You know, they got 2 turrets out of all of that. It could have been just as well easy for them to continue holding out. At least now they get to respond by picking up this mid lane out of 2 turrets, so 3 turrets over to them in a very short amount of time. So they get that gold lead, that little bit of a gold chunk, but not in a specific member. So no one person gets to scale up a lot. You just kind of split the gold here.
Yeah, so basically they're just trading, right? Just trading blows, both a little bit bruised right now. GGTY finally pick up some of the damage. You can start to see the damage start to pile in, because not only the fact that GGTY does have the Corki that spikes in the mid game, but GrindSky Eris, though, they do have the Kai'Sa that GGTY needs to be careful. And same could be said over the GrindSky Eris as well. That Senna should be coming online as long as GGTY drags this game, and their GGTY is just hoping for that.
That's enough for the moment.
Kai'Sa managed to get the upgrade for a Cathian Rain with this pickup, so that should give her a little bit more damage. Oh, actually, she had that before as well, so I think that was a little bit more damage on her end. I think that she's going to get a little closer to the upgrade for her E as well, her 3rd skill, so she gets invisibility. That will help a lot in the kiting, I think, and plus the bonus move speed. Dodging away for the charms is just so important here.
Yep. Members of GGTY looking at Hellgirl getting chopped all the way out. Neither of his post though stays alive just a little bit moment. Flash for good measure. A little bit too much investment coming out from the side of GrindSky Eris, if you ask me. GGTY on 5 men at the bottom side right now. GrindSky Eris joining the charge as well. It is going to be John Easy spin to win. Damas Injustice executes the Rakan, and now John Easy now gets issued the Grand Challenge. But the Grand Challenge, Hellgirl is trying to hit all these Grand Challenge, but she's nowhere to be seen. Eris tried to jump in the way, but thank God for the Santa, but the Sonic Wave will be able to execute all the way in. John Easy looking a little bit alive, not a little bit longer. It's so close to Charm. Doesn't manage to rescue the Garen as well, and now GGTY on full retreat.
They get... Oh my god, that charm was so good! The repulse on the charm was so good. The perfect time in a Hellgirl, she dodged out that fight once she recognized she wasn't going to get the viral problems on the Garen. So Jonas was just running around doing damage. Yugen was in a really bad spot because she was collapsed in on. You saw a taking out the Corki over into the back. I mean, that was such a messy, crazy fight. But GrindSky actually come up ahead out of all of that. And this is despite the fact that they are building scaling items. They haven't got their full power yet. The Rakan dashed in with an amazing knockup. It was even before Ray could join into the fight. The heroic entrance actually didn't get that much done. Nobody really got knocked up to it, but it zoned them away. GGTY split into 2 sides, and that was enough of an opportunity that GrindSky were able to pull back.
Yeah, you can see GrindSky Eris in that particular teamfight. I don't know, that teamfight was really messy. And not only that, you can see GrindSky Eris slowly just barely making in its time. It's like trying to catch the train. The train is already moving and they're just jumping on top of it. And now GGTY will be focusing on this with Harold. No, you got stolen by GrindSky Eris.
And it wasn't even by Smite. It was just by the Sonic Wave.
Cool girls don't look at explosions, and cool girls don't look at, you know, stolen Rift Heralds coming in.
AA is an absolute beast. She's killing this game.
Yeah, she is killing it this game. Going golden as well. Looking a little bit low this time around. Finally gets taken down by GGTY though. Jaya jumps all the way and kill it instead. No, that is the Rakan that jumps all the way in. Tries to charm all the way up. Nice charm though, but not enough follow-up coming out for GrindSky Eris. Is gonna be Hellgirl against the wall. Going to hell herself this time round. GrindSky Eris, they overestimated themselves this time, and GGTY will be able to reap the benefits.
They actually managed to get a good amount there, and this is not ideal for GrindSky, not ideal at all. I think they still can recover from this. I'm trying to think back to like what exactly was like the issue. So I think AA went in trying to get a kill onto Rainbow, but it was just a difficult target to try and execute on, and then they committed to try and save their teammate. I like the fact that at least they made the call, right? So a lot of people went in at the same time. Fortunately, I think their ultimates weren't stacked up in time to go and play against them.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, GGTY having this Mountain Drake once again, it feels like a replayer game too, where GGTY is just going around collecting the Infinity Stones, putting into their gauntlets, and they look to scale. It's an Infernal Drake and a Mountain Drake. it's not very ideal if you put it into the hands of, you know, Rainbow and even Johnny Easy as well as Rogue. They need that tankiness, they need the additional damage. GrindSky, Eris, yes, they're ahead in gold. Is that a steal?
It was a steal.
So sleek. So smooth.
Just another one in the books. He's gonna continue with this. Not
Man,
phased at
this
all,
Lee Sin.
honestly, you know.
Yeah, this Lee Sin is beyond as well. It's like basically GrindSky Eris take a weapon and they find to pull it all the way out. But now GrindSky Eris, yes, they're ahead of goal because of the turrets takedown. But what is their plan right here? Are they trying to elongate the game, allowing GGTY to scale?
Yeah. I mean, this is a really interesting one because one look at GrindSky's boots enchantments and you know what they're trying to go for, right? It's initiation with 4 belts. You know, they want to take the fight to them. It's interesting the game is like extending the way that it has been.
Yeah, but speaking of extending though, Jira, a little bit slow right there, will fall this time around by the Gorky Gatling gun, giving kills over the GGTY at this rate. They managed to secure a lead for themselves and now they're giving it away.
Really unfortunate, the advantage that they fought so hard to find at the end of it all is slowly going back to GGTY as they continue to scale up. I mean, it's just the nature of the composition they drafted for. So much additional damage, right? Once the Zed's been able to pick up the items, you know, he's very tanky because she actually went without the Blade of the Rune King because she's not in a direct lane matchup, right? So she doesn't really need it. So getting very tanky at this point. Same can be said about the Garen. You still have a lot of damage from all the rest, like the Senna, Corki, Ari. It's starting to become an issue for GrindSky because they don't really have good ways to deal with that anymore. Their damage is more at first. It's not really percent health. It's tricky. It's tricky to fight this.
It is very tricky right now. In fact, using the Heroic's entrance to just jump straight into reinforce AE. Jia coming in, but I don't see Eugen. Oh, it's going to be Jia going to activate and try to engage. Forced to jump away. Takes too much shot from the side of Corky. John Easy leading the charge. The kick will be able to connect on top of GGTY though. But then you see Ray, one of the secondary engages, fall. I don't know about this, but it feels like Hellgirl still, you know, doing the split push on the side of the lanes.
Yeah, I guess that's really all they can do. Helgo just needs to constantly split push and maybe try and trade back. It's an inner-tier turret, but like how long can we keep this up for? The goal difference is slowly but surely shrinking down. GrindSky has been sitting at like 3,000 for a long time. Now it's dropping back down to like 1,000. And the more the gold closes out, you can start to see the impact is going to be greater and greater in favor of GGTY.
Yeah, Rogue. Oh no, giving Rogue away back to GGTY. Literally helping your enemy to slam the brakes on top of their own car. GGTY picks up another kill in the mid lane. I think GrindSky is really focusing on using Helga to split push. This 4v5 doesn't look very scary anymore for the side of GrindSky Eris. GGTY is slowly catching up. They have the damage, they have the tankiness, they have the dragons on their side. And speaking about the dragons, Cloud Drake has been spawned.
Eldred comes up. I don't think it's the most impactful thing, dragon, you know, the all objective for that matter. But it could be an opportunity for GrindSky to get a fight that they want, especially while they still technically have the gold advantage. So maybe if they initiate now, they can actually execute and take down their opponents. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. They just need to back off. They tried to go for a steal there. I don't think the steal was the thing they needed to prioritize. Actually loses a lot of health, so they try and go for initiation. But no ultimates on Hellgirl. Hey, Ray just gets up, just gets the heroic entrance back up now. It's a little bit too late for the re-initiation. GTY hiding the brush, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, and you gotta give kudos when kudos due. You can see the mindset that the Lee Sin wants, but okay, Nison coming in will be send us roots will be able to land. It's GGTY stacking on top of each other, trying to look for some pickoffs, but will not be able to do so. It is big ultimates being used by the side of Den already, and now GGTY. I think they feel like they're a little bit late. They're focusing on the Baron instead, but GrindSky Eris though, it feels like a race of time. It's going to be a base trade. Hellgirl on the bottom side tried to push it all the way in. Garen from GGTY sent to defend, but it is still going to be the Corki managing to secure the Baron buff for themselves, but Hellgirl unable to penetrate the bottom side turret.
Yeah, if they stole that away, that could have maybe kept it into the game. Unfortunately for them, I think GrindSky missed out the chance. That's the point of the game is kind of out of their control now. It's out of their hands. GGTY have far better control of the tempo, and they get to decide how they want to play this one out. Hellgirl, I think, is going to have a difficult time. Not only is she going to have to deal with the individual players that come to deal with the split, but she's also going to have to deal with the Baron Power minions. And that's a difficult task for the Fiora, who generally is going to look to try and clear out the creeps as quickly as she can, so that she's able to like hide in between, chase after her opponents. It's an unpleasant situation. GrindSky need to wait this one out, wait out the Baron, and just focus on trying to clear out the waves.
But yeah, but granted, if GrindSky were to wait this out, then it's starting to scale. Don't forget, we're already slowly approaching to like, the 60-minute mark, and now GGTY using the Baron buff as well will be able to penetrate the second tier mid turret, and now they're looking to crash on top of this mid lane. It's a siege right now that's happening. Members of GrindSky go to response for the defense. Good look at the poke. They're trying to clear off the way, but they cannot get close to the siege minions without taking any form of damage. The mid lane turret gets a little bit weak for the side of GrindSky. Eris as GGTY focusing on the bottom side instead. Just death by 1,000 cuts at this rate.
Gold finally goes over in favor of GGTY after all the events that have happened.
Yep, Ray will be able to taunt two members, but Set comes in for the nice middle flank, executes Ray as well, and now GGTY will be able to take the fight they need to try to secure themselves to go into the grand finals. Ladies and gentlemen, GGTY with one solid siege, meaning with the Baron buff as well, and now GrindSky Eris will be able to jump all the way in. It is going to be the grand challenge executed and in fact issued and won, but now the nexus of GrindSky Eris looking a little bit low, and GrindSky Eris was able to defend.
Exposed, but not over yet. 900 HP still left in the Nexus. They get to play this one out. One more team fight, I think. One more good team fight, I should say. If they shove out the mid wave, try to pick up the turrets now, it could open up some space for them to get some breathing room. Otherwise, next dragon that comes up is going to be the Elder Ocean. It's not going to be a super impactful one for GrindSky. If GGTY end up picking it up, it's going to be devastating for this team. So you need to be ready to respond to that, especially as the Death Timers will respawn and see the remaining members of GGTY back up and alive for both the options for the Drake and to end the game.
Yeah, GrindSky Eris, you saw they tried very hard to penetrate the mid lane though. They tried to look at the top side, and I feel like they're just too distracted, right? You can see Hellgirl shoving the bottom side, but then you have Ro coming in already to accept that wave. Had Hellgirl put the effort over the top side or the mid side, I think that could have been better. The Mass Injustice, oh, the Rakan falls from the side of GrindSky Eris, and now they have to fight with a defensive wound. 4v5 once again.
And it's always been these situations that have been the deciding factors for it. And AA has been able to consistently make the best out of them, getting some good moments, cleaning away objectives with that first Baron loss. And now with this second dragon, the Elder Dragon, it's not going to be an easy task for sure. Even after seeing this, it doesn't change very much. You're not going to be able to win the game off of it. You're still going to be in that same situation we were in before, just with one extra dragon. That's not even going to be the case. They finish off the members of GrindSky, and it's only up to Hellgirl to continue split pushing. A wave accelerating through mid. Hellgirl cannot outpush this.
Yeah, there's no way that Hellgirl could be able to outpush this, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a rage. GGTY in the mid lane will slowly walk their way all the way into the Nexus. 1,600 HP. You can see the Rakan coming in just in time, but I don't think that's enough. GGTY will be going into the grand finals.
And a really solid performance from GGTY, executing very well on the compositions that they knew they had to. I really like the fact that they brought in some tankier options, being able to make those work in the fashion that they did. And, you still see the Garen doing a massive amount of damage, being able to not only be that tanky force, but also being able to pull attention away. You see, going towards, you see him building up building armor items early on. Once you got the Black Cleaver, you get the Thornmail, you get the Sterix Gauge, you have a lot of resistances against the members on the side of GrindSky, right? Because realistically, even with the Isa's makes damage with some of her procs, it doesn't do all that much. And then you look back to Ray, who has optimized for first the Rod of Ages, which takes time to scale. Secondly, the Oblivion Orb, so that you cut some of the healing. It's a lot of defensive items utility. It doesn't do very much to stop the Garen. They lack the damage once she had scaled up past a certain point. And I really like what we're seeing from this team. I think we're going into the finals. We have a really exciting matchup.
Yeah, totally. And I also another thing to point out, not only just the fact that GGTY in the end of the day, has more damage to collapse on top of GrindSky Eris. Another point is, we're always seeing a manpower deficit from the side of GrindSky Eris. They're trying to use Helga to sneak away the turrets, trying to sneak away the split pushes, but GGTY, kudos to the map awareness. They are able to spot out Helga doing those sneaky bleaky steals and then send someone to defend. And I think, you know, at the pretty last team fight right there when they're fighting for the Elder Drake, right, I think it would definitely be there are more chances for GrindSky Eris to do something if Helga joined that fight. Helga wasn't there, so it's going to be a 3v5 where you're already behind in gold, behind in dragon priority, and also behind in terms of the damage as well. So I think that's something that GrindSky Eris just didn't execute very well.
You know what? I feel like there are like a million things that we could talk about with them. I think at the end of it all, you know, going into this GrindSky, I feel like they still played it really well, despite some of the issues that we might have kind of addressed while in the game. You know, because we saw so many cool moments. I was expecting that like the entire time, but we had like highs and lows. So I think it's a bit like a matter of consistency, balancing that. Once you get that balance there, I could see them being a really unstoppable force. Either way, for now, GGTY will take the lead and they will push forward into the finals, and they get to play against the NSL, and that's a fun one, you know, because we see very overlapping champion pools for the most part. Baron lane junglers, both of them have pretty overlapping champion pools. They could have a very exciting one for sure.
Yeah, but also like what I said, GrindSky Eris though, that jungler, that Lee Sin was very, very nutty. And now GGTY, they pulled from a first game loss, they are unfazed in terms of the momentum, and now this confidence they built, beating one of the rivals, I would say, in the PH qualifiers as well, going into the grand finals, going to fight against NSL. That is the grand finals that we will be looking at later on. And with that said, don't go away. Grand finals coming up next. You don't want to miss that.